Hi, listeners. Thanks for tuning in to the Eagles Talent Podcast. Today's guest was named America's #1 young entrepreneur by Business Week and is the founder of the global phenomenon Johnny Cupcakes, branding expert and keynote speaker Johnny Earl. Johnny, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, I want to start with your self-described entrepreneurial spirit. On your website, you write, "I knew I had that entrepreneurial spirit when my friends hung out with cute girls at parties. I hung out with cute old ladies at Joann Fabrics, where I started a fleece scarf business." By the age of 16, you had started 16 different businesses. How did you develop such an impressive level of discipline at such a young age?
I think from seeing my parents or my mom commute to work and spend so much time in traffic, I really wanted to figure out a way to spend more time with the people that I love. So at a young age, I would just come up with these little side hustles to try to make my own money or buy my own, baseball cards or someday be able to buy, Christmas gifts for my family. And I went from lemonade stands to having yard sales to selling candy in school.
Wow.
I was a magician at one point. And for me, even though there was a goal and it was someday, spend more time with the people that I love, it was also that journey, that puzzle of trying to make something work. Because even now, when we do a project with Johnny Cupcakes and it's finished, it's almost like I need that. I need that struggle again. I need that puzzle to put back together. So for me, it's the journey and just figuring things out and trying to put those together. So yeah, it's been a wild ride, and I'm very thankful because over time having this T-shirt brand for the past 17 years, I've been able to employ my mom and my dad and my sister and really make it a true family-run brand.
So you came full circle. You want
Yes,
time
it
with the
has.
family, and now you got it.
Yep.
It's just so impressive. I mean, 16 different businesses by the age of 16.
Thank you.
The nickname Johnny Cupcakes came from your workers during your record store days. Among the many nicknames were Johnny Appleseed, Johnny Pancakes. What was your thought process behind choosing Cupcakes to launch your brand?
Yeah, I had all these funny nicknames for my goofy coworkers, and while I was getting T-shirts made for the hardcore metal band I was in, I don't know, Johnny Cupcakes just kind of stuck. It sounded like a very friendly mob boss or something like that. I don't know what it was, but it stuck, and I remember getting T-shirts made for the band that I was in, and I made a couple T-shirts as a joke to wear to work to advertise a bakery that didn't exist. I thought that would be a really funny prank to play, and I had a little social experiment, if you will, and I wore the shirt to work. And all of these slightly miserable customers that never made eye contact with me, they started laughing and looking up and saying, "Well, what's Johnny Cupcakes? Is that a bakery? We're going to get one of those T-shirts. My brother's name's Johnny, or my sister loves to bake, and I love one of those shirts." And before I knew it, the word of mouth kept spreading, and complete strangers were coming up to me asking for these shirts. So anytime I sold 12 shirts, I'd take that money and reinvest it back into the brand, and we would just kind of go from there. But yeah, I chose Johnny Cupcakes because I don't know, I think it was the most bizarre to me, and I wanted to do that social experiment and see what would happen. So yeah.
What the original shirts were they the iconic logo now with the cupcake and the crossbones?
Yeah, actually, the first T-shirt didn't even have a cupcake on it. It said Johnny Cupcakes, and it had 4 skulls. And then this was probably the 6th or 7th design, and it really was memorable to people. And this is why I chose it to be my logo, because it's easy to remember. It causes confusion, causes curiosity.
The logo itself is genius. I mean, the juxtaposition of something like a cupcake that's considered so cute, and then you have the crossbones. I mean, it's memorable, and like you said, it starts conversation.
Yeah, I used to see a lot of these tough guys come into my work with their skull and crossbone shirts on, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna put a cupcake there instead. And guys thought it was funny, and girls thought it was cute, and it caused conversation amongst a lot of people, And I said, let's just roll with it. I think this will
Yeah,
be good.
that's awesome. So after showing your t-shirts around, you realized the design, like you said, caused curiosity and conversation. You said a food-themed clothing brand is weird to many people, but weird is good, it gets people talking. At what point did you decide to take a huge risk by quitting your job and band and going full cupcake?
Going full
Yeah.
cupcake, I like that. When it was when my mom and my sister couldn't keep up with
Mm-hmm.
filling,
Order.
replenishing orders. I was on tour with my band, and they'd send out T-shirts to me in whatever city or state I was in if I was running out of shirts, because I would sell them out of my suitcase on tour. And when I launched my online shop, it it really it was wild because there was no Twitter or Instagram or
Right.
YouTube then. So I was really pounding the pavement. And I think through being in a band and having that DIY, do it yourself mentality, I was passing out flyers and stickers and really waking up early and going to bed late and just trying to spread this joy.
Yeah.
But I finally I left my job when I began making more money from the t-shirts than my weekly paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And then I left the band when I couldn't do both things efficiently anymore. I didn't want to half step the band and the business, so I chose to take a very scary and exciting leap into the apparel world. And for me, I was very excited about the unknown, venturing off into the unknown. So that's why I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
go that route.
I think just the message itself really translates well into a corporate setting and corporate audiences in the sense that risk can be good and it's important.
It is important. There's a lot of businesses that will send their employees to these innovation conferences or marketing conferences, but when they get back to the office, there's so much red tape that it takes years to come up with, to really execute an
Right.
idea, because there's some people that are afraid of failing. And I believe every office in some of these bigger companies and organizations should have a department that's almost like the James Bond department of developing ideas,
Right.
and because something will stick, and things that don't work, that's valuable data. That's
Right.
data you could even sell if you wanted to have a side business. But
Mm.
it is very important. And you know every business is a people business. So just because I'm selling apparel, what I'm also doing, I'm selling an experience. And I'm in the retail world, which
Mhm.
is a suicide mission in itself.
Right.
It's a very scary industry. And so I've been in this for 17 years now,
Incredible.
independently. Thank you. And we don't sell to stores.
Hmm.
So it's a really, but I love it. I love the more difficult that it
Mm.
is. And through that, we've been able to create brand loyalty, so much so that thousands of people have got Johnny
Mm.
Cupcakes logos tattooed on them, or they camp out for the products. So when I speak for companies and organizations, I really challenge the audience to think a little bit more creatively and to get brand loyalty by being loyal to their brand and loyal to their customers. From
Right.
handwritten notes to special events, there's so many little inexpensive things that you can do immediately, action steps to grow that loyalty and to get new customers.
I think one point that you made that's really, really important is the fact that if something doesn't work, that is valuable data. And, it's so important to look at it like that and have that mindset and not look at it as just a failure, but something that you can build off of.
Yep, it definitely is. I mean, I've learned the most from my experiments, and that's what I call every project, whether it fails or succeeds, is an experiment. And it's a blast. And I do know my audience well, and then I'm also attracted to finding out ways to get new customers
Right.
and to segue into that. So I've had quite a bit of experience from to business to consumer to business. And then I'm also on the other end of it. So
Hmm.
as a consumer, I receive terrible sales emails that a lot of salespeople are abusing with
Hmm.
really good sales software, but they're firing off 7 follow-up emails within 13 days. And I don't know. I just I see so many ways that companies can remix
Yeah.
the way that they approach their business.
And even something like in email, there's so many ways you can package it. I mean, for lack of a better term, to just make it so much more than just selling something.
Yep, from good humor to good design. I mean, I know one big thing for me is being transparent and telling your story through social media and your website and your marketing materials. Because, if I had to choose, since I'm an apparel brand, but I set my stores up to look like bakeries, we display graphic T-shirts inside of refrigerators and we package them in pastry boxes. So if I had to buy a refrigerator to display my funky T-shirts in, and I had to choose between 200 companies that were selling the same exact thing, if one company told me that they were a family-run brand, or if they put up photos of their employees, but childhood photos with really bad haircuts,
That's funny.
I would feel like, I'm going to support these people because I don't know much about these other companies, and I feel like I'm feeding this corporate machine. But if I know a little bit about their personality, it makes that exchange a lot more comfortable and attractive. So I think that's important. I mean, you go to IKEA, you walk around, you see little stories about the owner and how he used to stack furniture up on his old, I think, Volkswagen maybe, and it's important. So I think that really helps, and having that transparency and that discussion with our customers and letting them know our story and having an experience with everything that we sell, it makes them not even feel like a customer. It makes them feel like a family and a friend, because they are, and we wouldn't be here without them.
Right. By 2005, your brand developed a massive cult following, which led to the opening of your first Johnny Cupcakes store. It seems as though timing played such an important part in your business growth. As a business owner, how would you advise a company who's afraid to take the next step? And like we said before, is there ever a good time to take risks?
A lot of times there are factors that you can't really plan out, but there are ways to take calculated risks. So for one instance, taking pre-orders, whether it's for an event or for a product or software, taking pre-orders from customers to see how many you get before you develop the software or create the product or have the event. And then that could tell you how much you have for your budget to put into that. And if it doesn't work out, you could simply refund everybody and say, hey, we're going to push this project off another season. Another thing that you could do is, if you're working with a physical space, whether it's for a launch or for a brick and mortar store, looking at your Google Analytics, seeing where your customers are from, but also doing a pop-up shop, which is a temporary retail space. And you could go in for a few hours or a day or a month. You could set the limit and you could get it at a fraction of the price with no strings attached. I've done more than 500 pop-up shops around the world.
That's crazy.
And 99% of those pop-up shops, we have not paid any rent for.
Wow.
So we have had free spaces to pop up. And what I'll do is I'll utilize my social media. Again, have that dialogue with my customers and say, hey, it's Johnny. I'm going to be doing a tour around the U.S. If you want to host me at your business, your school, your work, your backyard barbecue, we'll show up with some T-shirts. You just have to bring the people and we'll come to you. And the feedback's been great and people love it. And then I have great content to then post back on social media or put out through our email blasts and show our community that, hey, we're doing some fun stuff and we're happy and appreciative that you've been along with this journey. So it's very helpful. And I think that could help someone that's not so sure about where they should go, is just there's ways to ease into it, whether it's bartering with another company, whether it's working with a charity, whether it's renting out a pop-up space for an inexpensive price.
So there really are ways to calculate risk to some degree. I mean, you can't calculate everything, but yeah. I know you talked about people, tweeting out to your supporters, and the Johnny Cupcakes brand. I mean, it's like a family almost to some extent.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like a
Hmm.
family, and our our demographic is all over the place. I
Hmm.
mean, we have some 5-year-old customers, we have some 85-year-old
That's
customers.
amazing.
But a lot of them do sit in the middle to be college kids to young
Hmm.
adults to adults. Because we do a lot of 1980s pop culture references too.
Hmm. What I know you touched on it before, saying that people even get their your logo tattooed on them. What was that like the first time you saw that?
Oh, it was scary as heck. I thought this
Really?
person was gonna, murder me. I didn't
Hmm.
know how obsessed they were. It
That's funny.
was the thing that really threw me through a loop is that this customer got a Johnny Cupcakes tattoo
Hmm.
in the same spot that I did, with the same color
Wow.
ink, same size, tilted the same way. But you know what? Over time, after seeing thousands of these
Hmm.
tattoos and hearing stories, um, people have been inspired to start their own business or brand, or to
Hmm.
live a healthier lifestyle, and it's really cool to hear their stories.
Yeah.
But I've seen face tattoos, I've seen neck tattoos, back
That
tattoos, I've
incredible.
seen tattoos in places I wish I did not see. I saw someone had a tattoo on their tooth recently. I don't know how they did it. They did some design and then put
Interesting.
a clear enamel coating over it.
Uh-huh.
But we'll call it a tattooth.
Yeah, right.
That I
Yeah.
have.
Trademark it. That's your next T-shirt.
Yep.
Your marketing strategy is part of the reason your business is a case study in several branding and business books, which is, I mean, that's so impressive. A large portion of your advertising budget goes into your unique bakery aesthetic and product packaging. I know that you even go as far as hiding air fresheners in the store to make it smell like frosting when you come in. How did you decide to create an experience-based brand?
I think it's because I am a consumer that yearns for some excitement. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, growing up, I would pull prizes out of the bottom of cereal boxes,
Mm-hmm.
and now you have to type in a 20 case sensitive code online, and the company's making money off of you from their
Yeah.
advertisements, and you still don't get a toy. So I love that experience. And what I think it goes back to is when I was a kid, my mother would pretend that we were going to run errands. And 40 minutes later, me banging my head off the window on the back seat of being so bored, I'd see a Ferris wheel in the distance. And my mom would lie to me to surprise me and take me to a carnival
Oh,
40 minutes away. She still makes Easter baskets for us and for my sister and I, and she's
that's
just
awesome.
I think that, and my mom and my
Mm-hmm.
dad would win costume contests growing up. So for me, I think I have this bizarre fantasy of wanting to be a real life Santa Claus, but in the
Mm-hmm.
retail world. So for instance, yes, my store smells like frosting. It is a bakery,
Mm-hmm.
but with no food, just cupcake themed T-shirts in refrigerators. And even the upset people who are so mad at us for not selling real food, they leave with an experience and a story to talk about,
Right.
and they do the talking and the advertising for the brand. So for the past 17 years, I've spent little to no money on traditional marketing and advertising. It's mostly been put into these experiences to
Right.
further build word of mouth marketing. So for Halloween, we released spooky T-shirts that we sold at nighttime.
They're
So you
coffins,
had to
right?
Yes, so you had to go out in the dark
It's
to
genius.
wait in line to buy these shirts. We made movie titles for shirts for movies that don't even
Mm-hmm.
exist, like Count Spatula
That's amazing.
and Rise of the Two-Headed Zombie Chef. And we made movie trailers for them for YouTube to build
Mm-hmm.
up hype and excitement. And we just kept asking ourselves, what else can we do? What else can we do?
Mm-hmm.
So we showed scary movies in the windows of the store. We had a costume contest that got everybody involved. We rented out a popcorn machine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've had some Halloween events where I've even rented out a hearse and a coffin from a creepy guy on Craigslist for a couple $100s.
That's
And
amazing.
I'll get delivered inside of the coffin in the hearse when the
Oh my
doors
god.
open for the T-shirts. And even though that doesn't really have much to do with selling shirts, it adds so much to it. There was a
Mm-hmm.
line of people queuing up on the other side of the street,
That's
hundreds of
crazy.
people taking photos and trying to look online and find out what Johnny Cupcakes was. And I don't know, that stuff makes it fun for me,
Hmm.
for my employees, for my customers, and for new people that don't know about us. It makes them curious and attracted to find out more about the brand. And
Right.
when you can do that instead of selling yourself and feeling like I don't know, feeling like a carny. No offense to carnies, I love carnivals and
Yeah.
much respect. I've got some friends who are carnies, but if you feel like you
Mhm.
have to grab people's attention to stay in business by hammering them with cold calls and cold emails, that could get depressing
Mhm.
and it could be very ineffective. So why not spend a fraction of the price, a fraction of the time to have fun and
Right.
to have people come to you? And there's so many ways to do that.
And I think what you said is so important too about how, for example, the coffin story of you coming in doesn't have much to do with t-shirts, but sometimes it's so important to just take it to that next level and have fun, put some personality in it.
Yeah, put some personality into it and find a way to make a correlation with your customers or with a product you're selling. People love
Hmm.
themes. People love to celebrate. People love free drinks, free food,
Right.
gift bags, raffles, music. All of these little things could help make an event or a celebration or a
Hmm.
launch be that much more successful by getting some people through the door. And then it's up to you and your team to really give them a great experience and
Hmm.
to follow up with that to get them pumped. But real quick, going back to the way that people approach their customers, you know, as I said on the other end, getting these sales emails,
Hmm.
I think if somebody were to spend a whole day sending out 1,000 emails to people they don't know
Hmm.
versus sending out 10 handwritten notes to customers who they've already had,
Right.
I think they could be more successful with acquiring new customers because those old customers, they're still good
Hmm.
and they have friends and they have family and they have colleagues. And if you thank them in a very unique and personal way, they're never going to forget you and they're
Hmm.
going to recommend your business to other people. I took 2 weeks off from work a couple years ago and I wrote handwritten notes to my top spending customers, the customers who've been with me the longest,
Wow.
and a few random customers. And I didn't just say thank you. I said, "Oh, you're from Long Island. I got married there. Did you know that's
Hmm.
where Busta Rhymes and Tony Danza are from? And they have the best delis in the world. But if
Hmm.
you take the train at night, you might slip on puke because people seem to get a little rowdy on that train." And I filled up every inch of that paper, that card, and then I got fluorescent envelopes to put them in. I got Batman's postage stamps. I wanted them to get punched in the face with the feeling of, hey, it's your birthday, you're
Hmm.
special, you need to open this thing. And I wanted them to feel thanked. And the best thing that I saw was one of our customers who collects our shirts, he
Hmm.
owns hundreds of Johnny Cupcakes t-shirts, but he doesn't want too many people to know about the brand. It's a really weird predicament. It's
Hmm.
like when you don't want your favorite band to get bigger
Right.
because so this person posted on a Johnny Cupcakes Facebook fan group and said, "I don't care if Johnny sells out to Walmart. I'm going to be a customer for life." And he
Wow.
posted up that photo of the handwritten note. So it goes a long way. He's telling thousands of people about my brand, and all I did was write "thank you" on a card. Took me 10 minutes. I really went
Amazing.
into it, and now I'm getting a lot of new people learning about me and acquiring brand loyalty from that person.
Hmm.
So I that human touch is so important. It really is.
And I think part of it too is that you are creating an experience, but also just making people smile or laugh or just
Yeah,
adding fun to stuff because people relate to fun.
they do, and it makes my job feel fun. It
Hmm.
makes my job feel good. It feels rewarding. Um, I love digital marketing, and it's so important, and I use it.
Hmm.
But when you can marry digital marketing with the real life approaches
Hmm.
and meeting people in person and having an event or celebrating
Hmm.
someone or sending out a handwritten note or a more personal gift, it really goes a long way. And
Right.
on that note of personal gifts, we started getting into corporate gifting. I learned
Hmm.
it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, but basically companies and organizations have to buy gifts for their employees or
Hmm.
their clients or potential new clients. And instead of sending another engraved pen or fruit basket, which are amazing, but when you get them for the 35th time,
It gets
it
old.
takes away. It gets old, and it
Yeah.
takes away from the idea of celebrating a relationship with a client.
Mm-hmm.
So we started making custom Johnny Cupcakes T-shirts for clients. We'll do the designing. We'll handle all the production. At $30 a T-shirt, minimum of 200 T-shirts, we almost act as a branding agency, and we make something special for them. And it's something that a lot of clients who have hired me to speak will get as a surprise for all the attendees. And at the end of my talk, I'll run back out on stage, and we'll kind of have like a baby Oprah Winfrey moment where we'll say, "You get a T-shirt, and you get a T-shirt, and you get a T-shirt."
Everyone look under your chairs.
And we'll give them out, and we'll even bring the pastry box packaging so that shirt to leave with. But they're so excited to share that experience and to show the packaging and let people understand how important that experience is.
I know that you touched on this before with sort of every company can create an experience. How do you think that transfers to maybe like the online landscape, online retail? If you're just solely selling your stuff online and don't maybe have an in-store place that people can go, how can you still create an experience?
Oh, as I mentioned with pop-up shops, there's so many ways to do that, and that way you can test out different markets. But online, I mean, good humor, good design, showing your personality, videos tell a great story, having great product descriptions, product reviews. And when you send out a package to someone, throw in some free stickers, throw in a handwritten note, maybe throw in a free shirt once in a while to top customers, maybe upgrade shipping once in a while. There's a lot you could do. Sometimes we'll throw in random trading cards. You might get a New Kids on the Block or Ghostbusters original trading card from the 80s. And as weird as it is, it makes them laugh, and it makes them want to take a photo to post on social media because it's such a random gift that they received. So there's 1,001 ways to build that excitement just through digital. And then when you want to bring it into physical, you can too. And you can do that through the way your website's designed, how often you update it, having fun, engaging contests with your customers on social media, having some live chats on Instagram, and just talking to people, having that dialogue. And you can ask your customers what they want and what they don't want right away. You don't have to hire, someone to come in for 1 year to, graph out everything. You could do it through these little teeny steps every day, as frequent as you want.
I think that is sort of the beauty of social media, is you can talk to them directly now.
You can, yes. But you want to make sure that you have the right people on your team, or you have someone that comes in and trains them on how to think creatively, so that they're not pushing stuff out there with not much thought. There is a science behind it.
Right. You mentioned before partnering with sort of pop culture based companies. Over the years, you've collaborated with some pop culture influencers, some pretty big icons, The Simpsons, Hello Kitty, even Warner Brothers. How did these collaborations first come about?
When I was a younger brand, it was tough to get a collaboration because no one is going to get back to you unless they see that you could bring value to them. I think my best collaboration I had in the first few years of being in business was getting free pizza. I told a local pizza shop, I said, "Hey, I'm having an event. If you could give us 10 large cheese pizzas for free, we'll put your logo on our flyers." And they were like, "Sure, we'll do that." So you can collaborate on all different scales. And then before I knew it, we started getting free drinks from bigger companies. And then there was a point when people started paying us thousands of dollars just to put their logo on some of our flyers or to be a part of our events. But to collaborate with brands like Hello Kitty, Sanrio, Warner Brothers, The Simpsons, Ninja Turtles, Marilyn Monroe's Estate, Power Rangers, something happened. I think it's from having my physical shop, my presence with pop culture, my presence with pop-up shops, and my social media following, and also the brands, as you mentioned, being a case study in several business and branding books. these larger companies have reached out and approached us to do projects because they see value in us
Right.
kind of, I don't know, giving their brand some cool points with an older audience, and having a different platform to kind of deliver that instead of just being in a box chain retail store. So Sanrio, Hello Kitty, that was a huge project. Our website nearly crashed.
Wow.
We generated $250,000 in less than 24 hours with zero traditional advertising. And we thought something was wrong. We couldn't believe this, how successful it was. But although the financial success is great, what I was most excited about was brand new people that never heard about Johnny Cupcakes before were waiting in line to learn about this world that we created.
Incredible.
And if you play your cards right, you could have new customers for life. So I think collaboration is important with every type of business because you can put your marketing budgets together, your advertising budgets, you can put your resources together, your creative thinking, and you can trade customers. And like I said, you play your cards right, you could have new customers for the rest, you have those customers for the rest of your life.
At the root of it all, I know that you start with you say that you just ask somebody, hey, can you loan us some pizzas and we'll put you on a flyer. I think at the core of it all, it doesn't hurt to ask.
It doesn't. And I still asked some bigger brands when I was a younger brand, but I look back and I was embarrassed. I used to sign my emails XOXO because I thought it was cute, and I'm looking back and it's like kind of creepy and kind of unprofessional. And but I never studied. I didn't study business, and I didn't hire someone to come speak for my brand. I didn't have that luxury of learning from another person's mistakes and another person's success, or working with a great speakers bureau to acquire someone that really helped us out. So for me, it was learning through mistakes and just put myself out there, which I still had a blast and remember every little bit about it. But you're right, it does not hurt to ask.
Right. You just mentioned speaker bureaus and speaking. Your professional speaking career is really linked to the brilliance of your business strategy and the ingenious of your company. You were asked to speak at high schools, colleges, companies. What made you say yes? What made you decide to transition into speaking?
Sure. So I was building out my Boston shop on Newbury Street with my dad, and a professor from Babson came in, and he would learn about the brand, and in 5 minutes he wanted me to speak at the school. And I was like, I can't do that. But my dad talked me into it. I was nervous. I wore extra deodorant. I was stuttering, and I said, I don't know that I can do this. And it was the worst experience ever.
Really?
But when I went home, I received emails from almost every single person that went there, from the teachers, the staff, the students, and they were telling me how much it changed their thought process, and they wanted to thank me. So I said, all right, I need to start doing this. And once I spoke one place, it just kind of spread. But also, as you mentioned, the brand is a case study in a lot of business and branding books, and it's been featured on MTV, NPR, Entrepreneur Magazine, and whatnot. And through that, people will go to the website and they'll see my speaking reel, or they'll learn about the brand. And since we do things so differently, people want to be different. It's the only way to stand out, is thinking in a new creative way and challenging people to on your team to think that way. So I started speaking more, and I learned that there were people out there that were speaking on what I do. Like, they were literally speaking about Johnny Cupcakes. And I was like, I need to go speak because other people are speaking about me, and this is really weird. So, I've seen some speakers online that speak about what other people do. For me, I speak about what I do and in my real life experiences, and I'm still an active CEO, and I'm trying new things every day, and I'm learning and I'm failing, and I've clocked in hundreds of thousands of hours of being an entrepreneur over the years. And I've enjoyed sharing it. So I've done talks I've been brought in from companies like Disney to Gillette, to big conferences like Inbound and Icon and the Inc. conference. And what I love about it is that I get to take my mentality with my brand and try to bring an experience into the speaking world. So I I'll donate gifts for free to anyone that hires me, and we hide them underneath all the seats. And after the talk, everyone gets a little surprise. There's been some talks that I've given where, for various associations, where I've brought in a machine that makes the whole room smell like cupcakes. And as I'm talking, and it kicks on as I'm talking about, the importance of creating that experience and how we make our stores smell like frosting. And it's to see someone who's been set in their ways in a stale industry for so long, to see them have that aha moment. Like I get so excited when I have to speak for judgmental people that don't want to change, because again, it goes back to me loving that puzzle and putting it together. And it's been a blast. So I've spoken over 1 million people around the world, to small groups, to groups as large as 7,000 people, and it's a blast. And sometimes they'll have us do a pop-up shop, or sometimes they'll have us design a T-shirt for the conference or for the organization, and sometimes they'll have me go in as a creative consultant to walk around and give them ideas. And I think the trickiest speaking engagement I was invited to do was for the LASIK eye surgery industry.
Interesting.
And I didn't know it existed. I knew nothing about LASIK eye surgery. But what I did know was I knew a lot about creating experiences for people and word of mouth marketing. So I went into this, and the event was great. There was a standing ovation. I couldn't believe it. But another LASIK eye surgery place invited me to go speak there, in right outside of Nashville, and they hired me to go in a little bit earlier and to walk around their company and pretend that I worked there. And I just wrote down a very informal list of ideas, what I would do if it was my company. And I said, all right, eye surgery, this is scary. I would definitely change all of the lights in here to not be so harsh and fluorescent. You don't want them to feel like they're in a hospital. You want them to feel comfortable. I would post up photos and testimonials from everyone who's done this so that it helps people feel comfortable. I would have a machine that has Ben & Jerry's ice cream in it, and I would reward everyone with ice cream. If I was going to get eye surgery, I would definitely want more than a lollipop. I would want, and the best part about it is I gave them ideas for this packaging that they were coming up with for a gift that they give their clients. And a few months later, I got a text message from someone at the company that hired me, and they said, "We just wanted to thank you so much. That idea that you gave us won us a gold level Addy Award, and we really appreciate you coming and giving our business some ideas. Thank you so much, Johnny." So that was the most bizarre organization and field of business and workforce that I had to draw a correlation with. But again, every business is a people business, even if it's business to business. And you're fighting for attention and experience and word of mouth marketing. And I love it. I love that. I love that challenge. It really puts a pep in my step.
Part of the reason I think that your keynotes and your speaking programs are so engaging and so well received is that your topic can relate to anyone, and it's just finding out how. And I think that's why you are just an incredible speaker as well.
I appreciate that. I really I practice what I preach, and I do it day in and day out. I would not feel right going to speak at a company on what someone else did. I want to share exactly what I did, what I'm doing, and it's important. And real quick, right behind me, you don't really see it, but
we noticed the typewriter right away.
I collect vintage typewriters.
Awesome.
I have about 17 of these. I don't think I'm allowed to get any more, but they make me feel really nice, and I'll tell you why. It helps with my writing, because there's no Wi-Fi,
Hmm.
there's an instant printer, and there's no backspace button. So I have to use my words with a lot more color, and it helps
Hmm.
challenges me to think. But I try to send letters to some of my clients that are all typed out. And check this out, for Halloween, I sent out letters to my friends.
Hmm.
I typed on the back of an old skeleton chart from a classroom, and I
Oh,
cut
that's
it up.
awesome.
So they had a piece of artwork. I put them in black envelopes. I had
Hmm.
a wax seal, and then I went as far as putting vintage stamps on them, vintage postage stamps. And I got a health stamp, like a Give Blood stamp, and I
Yeah.
posted it on there. And then I posted a Dracula stamp next to the Give Blood stamp because he drinks blood.
Yeah.
So even with sending a letter out in the mail, and I did Alfred Hitchcock with a bunch of birds next to
Oh,
it,
that's
bird
awesome.
stamps, and so even with sending a letter out in the mail, I relish in how I can make that special for my friends and
Hmm.
my family and clients. There's been times where I've rented out a movie theater in Boston to show movies. We invited our customers. We made a parody or a collaboration
Awesome.
shirt with some of the movies. And like for instance, when we showed Karate Kid, I had customers come up on stage before the movie and chop giant pieces of styrofoam in half. I had
That's cool.
Johnny Cupcake's Karate Kid bandanas handed out
Hmm.
to every single person that came in. We sold out the theater at midnight, and we showed old, 1980s, 1990s commercials before the
Hmm.
movie started, and really just had this fun atmosphere. But it goes to show with any business, it's just not rushing, taking time,
Hmm.
being goofy, pushing the limits, always asking, what else can we do? What else can we do? Why is a complete stranger going to talk about us and want
Hmm.
to participate in our business or organization? Um, but yeah,
I'm curious. What sparks your creativity? Do you just see something and go, "We could do something with this"?
I, I think it just stems from my childhood. My parents were
Hmm.
always open minded. It made me not feel like I had to rebel.
Hmm.
So even though I grew up with drug dealers, I've never tried drugs. I've
Hmm.
never had a sip of beer before. I don't know what
Wow.
it's like to be drunk. I've never tried it.
Hmm.
The amount of money and time that I've saved on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, recouping Sundays and half of Mondays, 5 days a week, my whole life, I've had a little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra money to experiment
Hmm.
with entrepreneurship, and it's that is my hobby, is doing business in unique ways
Wow.
and making strangers smile.
Your discipline is so admirable and so just fascinating and incredible.
Thank you.
In one of your speaking programs, Be Your Own Brand, the Ultimate Branding Toolbox, you talk to employees, CEOs, business owners on how they can generate a world class reputation that is impossible to ignore. What is one piece of advice you would give a new business looking to establish their brand?
Well, I'd say right off the bat is transparency.
Mm-hmm.
People want to be along that journey with you. If you're just posting the things that you make, that's cool. But if you also post you behind the scenes getting something made,
Mm-hmm.
or your favorite food, or again a photo of you as a child and saying, "Hey, when I was 5 years old, I started my first lemonade stand, and this is what got me in
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship." It shows that you have soul, and it makes people feel better about your business, your brand, your organization, your service. I would say that's the number one thing. Be transparent, because nobody can ever replicate you.
Mm-hmm.
They can try to do what you do, but they can't copy your history and your
Right.
personality and your name and the fact that your grandmother had an Italian restaurant and that inspired you, and when you thank your customers, you send out a little recipe book every Christmas, or
Mm-hmm.
there's so many things in your life that you could pull from to share with the world,
Mm-hmm.
because these things make you special and you unique, and when you can tie that in with your business and your personality, you are creating your own brand, your brand DNA that cannot be replicated. And,
Right.
and from day one, I've always been open with my customers, and I've kind of opened up the curtains and shed a light on the brand and behind the scenes of the brand. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very important. even a thank you video with everyone in your office.
Mhm.
You know, spend an afternoon making 20 videos for your top 20 clients
Mhm.
and make up a goofy song. Go buy some instruments from, from the toy store and just get a xylophone and
Mhm.
be weird. People love that. People embrace that. You don't have to be so serious on your website. And the more and more that younger CEOs are being hired, there's a whole different train of thought. And the more that this whole landscape of business is being overcrowded with anybody starting a business, it's more of a reason to stand out and embrace weirdness and embrace your personality.
Find out what makes you you,
That's right.
and embrace it.
Yeah.
Well, part of what makes Johnny Cupcakes amazing is that it was derived from pure joy with a goal to make people smile. Throughout the years, you've remained true to your roots, and it's reflected in your merchandising, branding, and your incredibly impressive brand loyalty and customer loyalty. How how important is authenticity to a brand looking to achieve longevity?
Oh, it's your lifeline.
Mhm.
You need that. Um, Again, people want to go on that journey with you, and we have customers that are maybe they might not be buying as many T-shirts now, but they're having kids and
Mhm.
they have animals, so now we're making shirts for kids, and they're getting them and involving
Mhm.
them in the tradition, and they're sending us cards around the holidays with everyone in their family wearing a Johnny Cupcakes T-shirt. So to get that longevity, again, I've been doing this for 17 years now, independently, not selling wholesale, and going direct to our customer. We don't have any investors,
Mhm.
but we can shake up an industry, we can disrupt an industry by thinking differently and training everyone on the team to think in those personal and creative and transparent ways.
Yeah.
It definitely does help. We have some customers that have been with us for a long time. I have one customer in Belgium. Her name's Anne Mays. Her and her husband travel around. She owns over 1,000 Johnny Cupcakes t-shirts. She has
Wow.
9 Johnny Cupcakes tattoos. I think I even have a picture of some of her tattoos. This will be like a line for one of our events. Just people
That
wrapped
is
down the street.
crazy.
Some of them camping out for shirts. Um, when you walk into my shop, you walk through a giant oven that secretly opens, and then we display the shirts in the refrigerators, the
Awesome.
checkered floors. Smells like frosting. Um,
Are all of
you,
your stores like an exact replica of each other, or do they all have something
They're
different?
not. So when we do pop-up shops or an extended pop-up shop, so I
Mhm.
had a 4-year residency in London. We wanted to be there for the Olympics. I had an 8-year residency in West Hollywood, but for the most part, our pop-up shops will last maybe a day or a
Mhm.
weekend. And then I have my flagship shop in Boston that I've had for 12 years. And we have a summer shop on Martha's Vineyard. And
Mhm.
then I also hire cake dealers. So we train Johnny Cupcakes customers. We teach them entrepreneurship and
So
event
cool.
planning, and we call them cake dealers. And we give them a percentage of their sales, and we teach them to set up pop-up shops in their own city, their own state. And
Wow.
we kind of help them grow and do their thing, and kind of give them the keys to the brand with a lot of guidance if they are accepted and the right fit. But yeah, this is a tattoo that someone got on
And
the
that
side
is
of their stomach.
incredible.
This is a really good spread. Yeah, this is the customer in Belgium. She's got about 9. I want to
Wow.
say 9 of them now. Look at this guy's tattoo.
What is that like
Uh,
for you to see your
this is on someone's
creations
neck.
on
Um, it,
someone's body? I mean, tattooed. That's I can't even imagine what that's like.
it's really, again, it was weird at first,
Mhm.
but I understand it. They're not all crazy.
Mhm.
These are I've got some customers who are doctors or lawyers or police officers, and they met their best friend or significant other through the t-shirt Johnny Cupcakes
Mhm.
t-shirt community, or they were inspired to be an entrepreneur themselves. This is when we opened up the doors to our pop-up shop in London.
Wow.
Um, you couldn't even walk down the street. This is right off of Carnaby Street. Almost every other person
Packed.
in line was from a different country. I got to bring my mom and my dad out there. That was a blast. Yeah, this is when we did the event with Nickelodeon. We had SpongeBob come out.
It's just so incredible.
And yeah, it's having fun, and some of the packaging that we've done has been a blast. So we've done some, there's a rolling pin that we worked on that's hollowed out, and you pull a shirt out from inside of it. There's a stick of dynamite right here that we did for 4th of July. Those are some of the VHS tapes that the spooky T-shirts are in.
Essentially, you've almost created like this club of people who, embrace their originality and their uniqueness. And if you see someone with the cupcake and the crossbones, you go, okay, I know that
you
person.
high five them. It's like a secret club, and it's really special. We love it, and we welcome everybody. We really do.
Well, Johnny, I want to thank you so much for sitting down to talk with me. For more information on Johnny Earl and Johnny Cupcakes, be sure to click around eaglestalent.com and visit his speaking page. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, guys.